Pompey Sound. Updates, the latest from Fratton Park, on the hour, every hour. Fueled by Piglet's Pantry. Click pigletspantry.co.uk to get your fill.
Pompey have been quick to play down reports of injuries suffered to a pair of key players during their training trip to Slovakia. Social media caught fire on the morning after their return home with speculation that Colby Bishop and Callum Lang had come home walking wounded. Such has been the impact of injuries on Pompey players during the last 12 months and more, it comes as no surprise that commentators and fans alike showed concern. But head coach John Messino is moving swiftly to allay any fears that their injuries may rule them out of the start of the season. Bishop and Lang were Pompey's top scorers last season, with each player making national headlines for different reasons. Bishop returned from open-heart surgery months ahead of schedule, and proved to be back to his goal-scoring best in no time. Lang hit the headlines also for his goal-scoring, smashing 4 goals in one game from central midfield. The injuries, however minimal, will nevertheless generate debate about the value or otherwise of flying long distance, and the benefits or otherwise of summer training camps.
Yes, and so let's start that debate. For 2-3 seasons now, including this one, the summer training trips have had their problems. There was the match in Gibraltar, or was it against a Gibraltar 11, something like that, in which John Messino was reportedly restrained from confronting the coaches of the opposing side, whose team he felt, or some members of that team, were simply going in too hard for a friendly. As though they were trying to make a name for themselves, or because they were somehow envious or jealous of the status and the financial wherewithal of the Pompey players, or they just wanted to be able to spend the rest of the season saying we took on a top English side and we gave them a good game. Whatever the motive, it takes a lot to get John Messino worked up, but apparently he was worked up and he was worried that his players were going to be injured. So the following training trip, they decided not to play a competitive game. And the absolute die-hard faithful, of whom I think about 20 or 30 went anyway, were very disappointed because they wanted to see that training game. And of course, one has to prioritise, and the club were absolutely right to be careful about arranging another friendly in case it kicked off in the way that it almost did against Gibraltar. But the fans were disappointed and they were allowed their say. This time round, again, no competitive match. We know that the players bond not only on the training ground and the facilities that Pompey purchased, so they're not freebies for the club, these things. They have to pay for the facilities, they have to pay for the transport, and they have to pay for their hospitality and catering. And those costs are met by the club compared to some of the outgoings of a football club. It's pin money, it's pocket money, but nevertheless it's money that we don't necessarily have to pay for. We know that flying is not good if you're carrying any kind of an injury. Swelling occurs around the injury. That's how the body begins to repair itself. But that swelling can be influenced, affected, adversely affected by the business of the changing atmospheric pressure during the ascent of the plane and then the descent of the plane. And if you fly to Slovakia, that happens obviously on 4 occasions. Taking off and landing on the way out and taking off and landing on the way back. It remains to be seen whether the injuries, and we don't have any details. In fact, we don't have anything official confirming this, but we have the strength of 2 insider sources at Pompey who also work for Pompey Sound, who contribute to Pompey Sound, and they are beyond being cross-examined, is the phrase I'll go with, about the stories that they give us. We trust them that they get it pretty much right. And they're saying that Colby and Callum have picked up an injury each, but that the club are saying that it's nothing. Nothing at all, nothing to worry about, certainly. And they'll walk it off in a couple of days. Something like that. However, again, it calls into question whether we need to be doing it. Forget the outlay of the money. We have to balance the value that it gives the club in terms of bringing the players together and bringing them further forward in their search for absolute peak fitness and sharpness going into the new season. That happens for sure. But do the drawbacks mean that we perhaps have reached the point where we ought to question the whole practice or look into better ways of carrying out the practice. The Isle of Wight is not Slovakia, it is not Malaga, but you don't have to go in a plane. It's a very nice ferry ride with a luxury coach at the other end to take them to the facility. Are there such facilities on the Isle of Wight? I don't know. I suspect they may not be as good as the facilities in Slovakia. We're looking at quality training pitches. Sure, they've got quality pitches on the Isle of Wight. There is the business of privacy. The players are happy to meet the fans. The whole club are happy to shake hands with the fans, of course. But it's a question of how many and how much privacy can be obtained when it's absolutely paramount that what the players are doing are not looked at by people who are fans, yes, but members of the public also, yes, and who also have phones and would be very happy to share some of the things that they have seen, not only with other Pompey fans, but of course with other football clubs who look in. And we know that that happens. How often it happens, we don't know. So privacy is an issue, and if they were to stay at home for their summer bonding training session, privacy is an issue. The quality of the facilities is an issue, but it would mean that the players wouldn't have the ardour of a day-long travel, because it is a day. I don't care if Slovakia is 10 minutes away by plane. It's the business of the whole thing of getting to the airport and getting through the airport, and that takes time, whether you're Joe and Joanne Bloggs and your family or an entire football club. Might even take longer, I don't know. So it's a 2 days travel and ascent and descent by plane on a total of 4 occasions, which does not do injuries any good. We wait, not with bated breath, because we believe the club when they quietly say, look, there's nothing in this. However, they have got picked up, it seems, some sort of a knock, and we just hope that it's not damaged further, that knock, by flying home from Slovakia. It was the only way to get home from Slovakia. I don't know how long it takes by road or rail to get to the UK from Slovakia, but time is tight. Next season, as Steve Bone reminded us, it's only about 4 weeks away. The football agency of the 72 are reporting what Sky Sports are saying, and it's good listening, about Abu Kamara.
Kamara, 21, joined the Tigers last year from Norwich City. He has since made 37 appearances in all competitions for the East Yorkshire outfit and has chipped in with 5 goals and 3 assists. As per Sky Sports, Rangers are keen to lure him away from the MKM Stadium for a cut price fee. They have turned to former MK Dons, Swansea City and Southampton boss Russell Martin as their manager. Lee Hendry has recently told Football League World that he believes Kamara would be ideal for Portsmouth amid fresh attention from Ibrox now. I do think Abu Kamara is a good potential signing for Portsmouth, as he's a player that really does need game time. Obviously, you're not guaranteed game time anywhere, but when he was at Portsmouth, he was a really good fit. He's one with potential, there's definitely no doubt about that, and I think Portsmouth will need players throughout the season as they have arguably less squad depth. The lack of squad depth might just give him more opportunities to go and prove what he is capable of doing. 1 of 15.
So what have we learned from that piece? Well, a couple of things, I think. First of all, Sky Sports seem to be saying that Kamara might be available for a cut price fee, which could bring us in. We're not going to 4 million, surely, but a small percentage of 4 million we might very easily stump up. I always add when I say that it's not my money, it belongs to somebody else, and you should spend your own money carefully, never mind about somebody else's. So there's that. But an interesting point made by Hendry, which is that the comparative lack of depth he talks about in Pompey's squad could appeal to Kamara, because it will mean that he will have opportunities for more game time, and all players want game time, surely. Maybe 1 or 2 wizened old pros are quite happy to be on the bench and come on for the last 3 minutes and therefore get whatever bonus is available if you have technically made an appearance. But the rest of them, the rest of your healthy squad, should be chomping at the bit to get out there, make every start. And Kamara stands a much better chance of doing that at Pompey than surely he would at Rangers, and surely he would at Hull. So if he has anything to say in it, remember when he came back for Hull, he said that the hairs went up on the back of his neck when he stepped out into the sunshine of Fratton Park again and remembered all the good times and all his great successes. So if the player has any say in his own future, and you would hope that they have a considerable say, because they're the ones who've got to deliver the goods, and to do that, it helps if they're happy, then, I don't know, we can perhaps begin to cross a couple of fingers?
Stuart Moore has caught Pompey's eye during his trial spell in Slovakia, as the club looks to potentially bolster their goalkeeping options for the championship campaign. The former Pompey Academy graduate joined the squad near Bratislava at short notice last weekend, stepping in after Toby Stewart's loan move to St Johnstone created a gap in the keeper ranks. Moore has been training alongside Nicholas Schmid, Ben Killip and Jordan Archer during the team's pre-season camp. Goalkeeping coach Joe Perdomo has been impressed with what he's seen from the 30-year-old ex-Blackpool stopper. Stewart's shown real quality in training, Perdomo said. We're definitely open to bringing in another keeper, but they'd need to be the right fit for the group. We've got to consider how it would affect everyone already here. With the team heading back to England on Friday, Moore has done his chances no harm during his trial period. His familiarity with the club from his academy days and his solid performances in Slovakia have put him firmly in contention for a permanent role.
I think it's fair to say that most fans were rather surprised to hear the club being linked with a possible move for an Arsenal reserve goalkeeper, a man of high calibre, a good player, very good player. But the word was, do we need another goalkeeper, it seemed? Well, OK, Toby Stewart has gone to St Johnstone, and that's going to be a good place to toughen up. I'm not casting aspersions about Scottish football there. St Johnstone play in the Championship, the Scottish Championship, which, as in England, is the second tier of Scottish football. And no doubt the game is taken very seriously everywhere in Scotland, but also in the top two divisions, naturally. So Toby Stewart will do some learning. Perhaps the implication of this possible move for Stuart Moore is that Toby Stewart does have a little bit to learn and a little bit of toughening up to do, because if the worst had come to the worst and we had to recall him to go into the side, then he might have been up against it. And the last thing you want to do is to damage a goalkeeper's confidence. All players need confidence, but one suspects that goalkeepers need confidence more than any other playing position on the pitch. So we could end up with, would that be then 5 goalkeepers in our ranks? Does this signal the possibility that one of our, let's call it, reserve goalkeepers is a player whose position at the club has a question mark hanging over it, and that Stuart Moore is seen as somebody who could come in as a potential number 3 or even a number 2 behind the immovable Nick, who has just been one of the buys of possibly the buy of last season, Nicholas Schmidt. So he's nailed on. So anybody coming to this club packing a pair of goalkeeping gloves knows that at best he's going to be on the bench. At worst, he's going to be in his casuals on a Saturday afternoon. So, what do we know about the boy Stuart Moore? Well, he's a good big lad, which is good for starters, 1.94 centimetres. No, I don't do those either, 6'4". That sounds more like it. He was with Morecambe. His youth career, he began at Brading Town, and then joined Portsmouth. But in 2011, until 2013, he moved to Reading as a young player. And then as a senior player, he stayed with Reading, but didn't make any appearances. He was loaned out, and boy was he loaned out. Hungerford, Bashley, Gloucester, Bath, Basingstoke, Peterborough, Luton. Played 48 times for Basingstoke, and then found himself on Barrow's books, where he only made 18 appearances. Swindon, where he made 6. Milton Keynes Dons, he played for them 6 times. This is 2018 to 2020. Then he was with Wealdstone, 10 appearances there. Then Blackpool, I beg your pardon. And then out on loan again to Doncaster Rovers, Morecambe. He's clearly a plausible goalkeeper, an authentic goalkeeper, but he did not have a breakthrough. And I can't say that he hasn't had a breakthrough yet, because he is 30. So he knows his stuff, and he's rock solid. And he's a player who it would be good to be able to call on in the event of us needing to call for him. One other thing pops out of that piece about the possibility that we're going to sign what would effectively be our fifth goalkeeper is that having more on tour in Slovakia meant that they were able to play 4 goalkeepers. And presumably it is of value to a club when they are training to be able to set up situations in which those who are playing in the outfield are either coming up against or supporting an authentic goalkeeper. I'm sure Joe, our goalkeeping coach, could do the job to the best of his ability, but it could well be that he'd rather be standing on the sidelines coaching and watching. So it's possible, it is just possible, that a player might be taken on board by a club in order to ensure that their training activities are carried out with the highest possible calibre player in one of the crucial positions for training. But that's pure speculation. Good speculation, though. I hope you agree. Dean Adams is asked, where do you predict Pompey will finish next season?
15th. I'm not going to say I'm hoping for the playoffs because I think that's too soon. I don't think we're ready for that. And that would be, if it happens, it happens, but we're not ready. I don't think we could be ready.
Are you going up the road 5 games into the season?
Yes, so I've got a job for another radio station on that day.
Wow.
Yeah, I've already prioritised that game so I could have it.
Wow.
So yeah, I will be at that place down the road in
What
September.
a day, what a day.
It'll be interesting, yeah, so I can't wait.
And you can hear Dean's excellent piece right across the output on Pompey Sound, or you can listen to it as a podcast. You can either Google Pompey Sound Podcasts or go to your normal place for podcasts and search Pompey Sound.